us this afternoon. This is the latest episode of the NORA Webcast series. The NORAs, the National Online Recruitment Awards, are imminent. They are almost upon us. In 7 days' time, we will have the awards next week in London, in Marble Arch. So I hope you're going to be joining us for that. In advance of that, the NORA Webcast series is all about speaking with organisations who are involved with the NORAs and digging into what they do and how they do it within the online recruitment industry. Today, we're going to be looking at one of the most prominent developers of recruitment websites in the UK and in fact globally, which is Access Volcanic. Access Volcanic have, certainly in the past 10 years, maybe more, had very frequently high numbers of their clients as finalists and winners in the NORAs. So I'm really pleased to welcome, first of all, if I can just pull down, my special guest today, if I can get the button clicked correctly, Luke and Rachel from Access Volcanic. Good afternoon. Luke and Rachel, how are you? And first, before we go on a bit more, tell us a bit more about yourselves and Volcanic, please.
Ladies first, Rachel.
Thanks for having us, Stephen. Yeah, lovely to be with you. So yeah, I'm Rachel. I look after the Volcanic product. So working with customers to understand their needs, their challenges, and how we can help, basically. So that's on the product side. Over to Luke.
Yeah, so my name's Luke. I'm one of the tech specialists here at Access Volcanic / DE&I advocates. Ex-recruiter myself, so I'd like to think that I do understand firsthand some of the pain points that recruitment companies go through on a day-to-day basis, and I'm just really pleased to be able to continue to service the industry.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the background of Access Volcanic and the spread of work that you do and the types of clients that you're working with?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take that one. So in terms of the spread of clients that we work with, we're not isolated to a particular industry or a particular type of recruitment organization. If we look at the breadth of clients that we have on board at the moment, they range from financial recruitment to healthcare to logistics, temporary, contract, permanent. So it would be really difficult to pinpoint, I should say, a particular type of recruiter that we service best, just because there is such an array of different clientele that we work with.
Yeah, and you focus particularly on recruitment agency, recruitment firms, as opposed to employers, or other employers that are clients as well?
Typically recruitment agencies. The platform was built for that model of client, but we have other divisions outside of our recruitment division as part of the Access group that also sell Volcanic to businesses that want to use it from an internal perspective as well. So yes, short answer, primarily the recruitment space. Yeah.
So recruitment websites, most people look at, their experience of recruitment websites is as a job seeker, and everyone at some point is a job seeker, and we'll go into the website of an agency. What are the primary positive things that job seekers are looking for when they go to the website of a recruitment firm? What are the key things that need to be there?
Do you want me to take that one, Rachel?
Go for it, Luke. Yep.
Okay, fine. So I think in this digital age, we're working with a very up to speed market, and what I mean by that is that candidates and clients, I should add, will make a decision very quickly based on the look and feel of your website, right? Mm-hmm. Aesthetics is usually the first thing that they form an opinion in. And I love the terminology that you used earlier, Stephen, that is the window into your business.
Yeah.
And, many of the conversations I have with either business leaders or marketeers that are considering partnering up with Volcanic and coming along on the journey with us is that, if a client or a candidate has the privilege of actually speaking to someone in your recruitment company, I have no doubt that they will be able to convey and put forward a really good business case as to why they should represent you as a candidate. or why they should do business with you as a recruiter. But in most instances, you don't have that luxury. So you've got a very small window of opportunity to convey not only a nice look and feel to your website to convey that credibility, but also to put across what your USPs are as a recruitment organization. There's, it's no secret that it's quite a saturated market. So what makes you stand out from the competition? So I think in answer to your question, it's really putting forward what separates you from the competition. Yes, it's an incredible, good looking website, but also it comes down to UX. So as you navigate through the application process, for example, is it easy for you? And this gets down to granular detail, which I don't want to get into today because I'll end up waffling on. But, where the call to action buttons are placed.
Yeah.
Have you got similar vacancies that are popping up that are actually relevant to the criteria that you've searched for? Just little things like that can be so off-putting because it's so easy just to click off and go to, maybe slightly more reputable, well-known brands, right? And that's what we try and install into Volcanic, is that we want to remove any friction so that candidates can not only find, navigate, and apply for your vacancies, register interest with absolute ease.
Yeah. We're long past the time when a recruitment agency's website was merely an online brochure about what they did. It's much more of an interactive platform. And what you see on the website is really just the tip of the iceberg, where there's a whole load of technology going on in the background. And the access that candidates have to the agency is through the website. They'll log on, they'll check on vacancies that they've applied for, and candidates are often loyal to a particular agency in a way that they wouldn't be to a regular job board. So they'll go back and they'll look for other vacancies, or other opportunities that might be available through that recruitment firm. So can you tell me a bit about how the technology supports the recruiters and the candidates in having that living, breathing platform that helps to make the recruitment machine work?
Sure. Do you want me to jump in a bit there, Luke?
Go for it, Rachel. Yep.
Yeah, well, I guess just to your point, so we know that 73% of job seekers say that the candidate experience directly has impacted their decision to, whether or not to accept a job offer. So we know how important it is to have, the things you alluded to. So building trust, setting clear expectations about what to expect when you apply for a role, and that how much it can help to strengthen your brand and reduce risk of dropout. Some of the key things that we've built in, so these are some of the kind of key building blocks that we provide with Volcanic that basically give you all the features that you need to provide a really modern recruitment digital experience. And there's a few key pillars here. I won't go into them in detail, but just to kind of give you a bit of a sense of what the building blocks, if you like, that comprise Volcanic. One of them is about visibility. So the previous slide talked about making things as visible as possible, reducing barriers for people to discover jobs, I guess. So SEO is a massive part of that, and helping to get as many eyes on, vacancies as possible, but also providing all the tools to help to engage candidates. So providing, alerts, notifications, and we're going to talk about WhatsApp integration shortly as well. So how we can provide all the tools to engage with candidates in ways that work for them. And I think that's really important, and it links back to kind of putting people at the center. Recruitment it's a people business. It's all about people. And I think how we've tried to design Volcanic is to create, help, support those kind of relationship building that you're doing both with candidates and with clients. So Volcanic is designed to give all the tools that you need to help to not only engage candidates, but also engage clients and help to win new business. Plus all of the things that you need to have around there, the support and infrastructure to help you manage your content, keep your website fresh, because your business is constantly changing. You need to be able to keep your website fresh. And obviously then you've also got other aspects like the reporting, so giving you the insights that you need in order to optimize your processes, as well as all of the kind of parts of the plumbing, if you like, as we would call it. So the kind of the security side of things, and obviously GDPR being a massive factor as well.
Two things you mentioned there that are very much of interest to me, and that's trust and engagement. On the trust side of things, obviously, every recruitment firm has their own reputation, their own brand, and so on. People need to feel that they can trust that. But the platform that they're on, if they're uploading personal information to that, which is of course what a CV is, then they want to feel that they can trust the process, that they are being treated fairly when they apply for a vacancy, that they're actively being considered, and that the platform has ways to make sure that they might not be set aside in consideration for a job when they think about other application processes that they've had, and an engagement where the trust goes to engagement, where it encourages them to not only come back to the site on a regular basis, but to respond well to vacancy alerts that they're getting. So they're coming back to the site, they're updating their information when they need to, they're engaging with communications back and forward with recruiters, and they know that their information is being held safe. So from a trust and engagement side of things, that's vital. But going back to the trust, candidates always have a sneaking suspicion that when they apply for a job, that there's something going on in the background that might not be the most fair, and that brings us to the DE&I side of things, especially candidates who are maybe have experience in applying for jobs and thinking, well, I'm not getting a fair shake here, and being able to address that from a recruitment agency point of view and pass on that trust to the candidates is more vital these days than ever.
100%. We couldn't agree with that more. DE&I has been a huge talking point for Access Volcanic for a number of years now. We've spent a lot of time and resource in empowering our design team to ensure that they're, designing websites that are up to WCAG standard. Mm-hmm. So not using colors that might be difficult for people that are hard of sight to navigate.
Yeah.
And it actually, following from what you've said, a lot of the market sentiment from calls that I was having about new websites and about candidate acquisition always seemed to be led back to DE&I. It was a huge talking point. It still is a huge talking point. And, the only way that you can excel as a business is if you listen to the market, you listen to your clients, and actually try and present a solution that will address some of those issues. And it led us to, as of the 7th of September this year, we acquired a business called Diversely. And we'll get into, how that actually affects the candidate application process in a positive way, and actually removes all bias. It removes, it kind of anonymizes the process so that actually consultants and recruiters are placing candidates based on skill set, based on match, and nothing else.
Yeah.
So the tools and functionalities that are available through Diversely, which is the business that we acquired, are now baked into the Volcanic solution, because what we understand is that you need the ability to be able to capture DE&I characteristics. First and foremost, you need to be able to create a safe space for candidates to want to disclose sensitive information. These are sensitive questions that we're asking, right?
Yeah.
We also need to remove the bias. So we have the tools, we have AI tools that enable consultants or people that are writing your job descriptions to use language that is fitting for all.
It's really important.
Very important, 100%. But also enabling people to report, and this is Chris. I've had some quite sticky conversations on this. How people are actually capturing data. So they're trying to capture and understand what their shortlist look like in terms of weaknesses. So are we getting predominantly male applicants? Are we getting predominantly female applicants? Things like that. Being able to store that data in a compliant fashion is a minefield, right?
Yeah.
But we understand that, it addresses a lot of the market sentiment. Having the candidate acquisition tool baked into the diversity tools that we offer is truly the perfect blend, because you get the volume, but you also get the data to be able to make informed decisions that you can surface at client level.
On the reporting side of things, you mentioned before that everyone has their own form of biases, a set of biases, and it might well be that I prefer to hire someone from a certain university, or I prefer to hire people who support my football team. But and there are many more daft ones out there, as well as ones that are seriously wrong. But in my experience, when recruiters are aware of a bias that they have, and it might be for those two that I mentioned, or it might be, I tend to veer away from people with unusual sounding names, or people who I don't relate to their backgrounds in the same way. But they may well have all the skills that I'm looking for in this job. But somehow, in my mind, I'm, without thinking about it, setting them aside and not considering them for this role.
Mm.
If the technology is putting candidates forward and saying, we recommend these 5 or 10 candidates for this role for serious consideration, then that's including candidates that otherwise might be excluded. So how does that work through Volcanic and Diversely?
Yeah,
I'll let Rachel go into the actual the feature side of things. But the one thing that I wanted to lean into here, and it follows your point, Stephen, is that, and I've had to get comfortable talking about this. It didn't come naturally. I've had a bit of a head start, but we all have unconscious biases, right? And that's the first thing that we need to acknowledge. I always use the example of when I used to work in recruitment. To your point, Stephen, if I saw a candidate that maybe had gone to a university that I didn't think that highly of, or they'd worked in a business prior that I didn't think that highly of, I would form a picture. And that's before I've even looked at the skill sets. And I was in a position to place, right? So this is something that we need to lean into and acknowledge, that we all have unconscious biases. It's not a red flag. It's just human.
At that time, someone had come to you with stats who said, well, you appear to be biased in this direction. If you were aware of that bias, then you could address that and be conscious of it. So if you knew, well, that's a bias that I have, and actually it's not helping me. It's not helping find the right person for these jobs. Then I can now consciously do something about it. So the reporting through any kind of technology that you're using these days, if that helps recruiters be more aware of biases that they might have and to do something about it, then that's a hugely good thing.
Completely, and I completely agree. It's about starting by understanding where you are, isn't it? And that's exactly what diversity and combining that with Volcanic is there to do. It's about, firstly, helping you to gather the data in a compliant way, regardless of wherever you're hiring in the world. Obviously, laws are different, and you can ask different questions there'd be some questions that you just could not ask, for example, in Malaysia, or some questions that you couldn't ask in France. The tools that we're providing mean that you can only ask a compliant question. You can only ask a question within the realms of the law. So the first step, kind of, are we asking the right question to ascertain the right data? The lawfully permitted data, like making sure that you have that bit ticked off first. So compliant diversity data collection globally, and then to your point, Stephen, about kind of presenting that data back so that you can see where might be the problems in your process. Where is it that you are actually attracting a really diverse range of talent, but when it comes to shortlisting, things start to go off a cliff a little bit, and that can indicate, and as Luke pointed to earlier, don't think anybody sets out to have biases, but we all have them. So the first step is, and the first kind of thing that we'll be addressing with the integration of diversity, is to gather that data in a compliant way, present it via dashboards so that you can see where you sit at the moment. And then the intention is that obviously then that gives you something that you can look at and see, how do I want to act on that? And also you can provide that data to candidates. So linking back to the point earlier about kind of, candidate experience, it's about being transparent with candidates and saying, hey, look, this is where we are right now. And it shows the candidate, I think, that you are committed to diversity and committed to creating an inclusive workplace. So presenting that back, and also giving data that you can then share with your clients as well. So all of the tools that diversity applies, and the first parts are launching in December. We're nearly upon us now. So we're launching in December the data capture and display through the dashboard, and then in February we're launching the bias analyzer, which Luke alluded to. And what that will do is, as you're typing a job description, it will highlight words or phrases that might exclude certain groups. So for example, if you use very aggressive language that could be deemed to exclude women, it will actually underline that, highlight it, and suggest alternatives. and you can click on that. And I know we were chatting earlier, it just makes it easy to write something that's really inclusive. And we all do it, we'll all write things. And, I started writing something in it the other day, and you kind of, it really makes you aware of what you're writing and who you might be excluding. The results are really strong in that when the bias analyzer is used, you will generate over 65% more female applicants, to twice as many relevant shortlisted candidates. So we know that this works, and that this will help to open up more opportunities to more people, which is ultimately what we're trying to do with Volcanic, but doing it in a way that fits into your processes. We know recruiters are busy people. You don't have a lot of time. You don't want any extra hurdles or impediments in the way. Your margins are tight. There's a constant battle for visibility and attention, etc. So the way it's been built into the platform is just to make it really easy, natural, fits into your business as usual. Rather than adding an extra step.
Candidates often have already fairly low expectations in terms of how data is going to be managed online, and it's a great opportunity to not only surprise but delight candidates with sharing out loud. This is what we do. This is how we handle your data. These are the questions that we're going to ask you. These are the questions that we're not going to ask you. Candidates, when going back a while, and still now, often offer information that we can't be asking them. Candidates will include, their date of birth, their family situation, and sometimes they put in their passport number and their driving license number. So information that's not necessary and couldn't be asked for and shouldn't be asked for, candidates will often offer that information. So when you're reassuring them at the beginning, this is how we go about things. We want to be as transparent as possible and as fair as possible to all candidates who are interested in applying for these positions. Then it's a great way to distinguish yourself from other platforms, other recruiters who aren't doing that, where you're spelling out, we have an ethical standpoint on this. And we know that works not only for our benefit, for the benefit of candidates, but ultimately for the benefit of the employers, who are then able to find the best candidates for these roles, rather than looking at a smaller subset of candidates that have come through a biased process. They've got a richer seam of really well qualified individuals to choose from, and it should be ultimately fairer for people who are applying, and they have more trust in the process.
It absolutely should, and I think what we hope it will help from our customer point of view is to stop overfishing from the same pool. So opening up opportunities to people, or opening up visibility of these roles to people who may not have been, job descriptions may not have appealed to them previously, for example. And one of the other things that's coming soon, just to speak to your earlier point there about the details that candidates might include in their application that might unwittingly lead to biases on the part of the person reviewing them, is that we're also going to be introducing a CV anonymization tool. So what that'll do is it'll redact and strip out all of the personal identifying information, such as pronouns, what university you went to, etc. So that you are, just to Luke's point earlier, you're just purely looking at someone based on their skills. Are they able to perform the core skills that we need for this particular role? So hoping to sort of take that layer out as well. And what we hope that'll do is help. We've got a lot of clients who work with, in public sector, and they need to evidence this from a point of view when, they're asked to do RFPs, etc. They need to be able to show that they have created an inclusive hiring process, and they've helped to remove these barriers. And that's exactly what we hope this integration will do, is to show that and demonstrate that inclusivity.
So in terms of
I would also add one final bit to that as well, is that, the having a D&I strategy, first and foremost, most importantly, is ethically the right thing to do for all of the reasons that we've spoken about, right? We're trying to remove bias from the application process. We're trying to broaden talent pools, and we're trying to get candidates placed based on merit and nothing else, right? And relevance to the role. But the other side that doesn't often get spoken about, and it is, it's the less important of the two, but it is and can be good for business also.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something that I've had to get more comfortable talking about over a period of time. But for example, I was on a client call. I won't mention the client name, but literally back end of last week. And this particular client, yes, they needed some support in terms of rejuvenating the website, gaining more visibility as to how their website's performing, the tools that are offered within Volcanic. But actually, in this instance, they were losing substantial amounts of money.
Wow.
Because they couldn't evidence the steps that they're taking to source diverse talent. And to whittle that down, they actually lost out on a £3 million tender, a government tender, which would have been about £3 million worth of business to them over a 4 to 5 year period.
Yeah.
Purely because they couldn't actively report and they couldn't effectively convey what their D&I strategy was.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is a business. It's a business acquisition tool as well.
Yeah. Talking about clients that you can't name, are the clients that you can name that you can give examples of Volcanic making a real difference to their business over a period of time, where you've stepped up their game website wise, or come in and switch from what they were using before?
Definitely, we've got some testimonials, I think, that we prepared earlier.
Back to them, but yeah, MedGen is one that rings a bell. Forgive me if I'm about to make you dizzy by going through the slide. But here we go. Actually, I think it's
just for a bit of context on Med. So MedGen was actually one of my clients, and the driving force behind looking to rejuvenate their website was that they were just not getting the right level of candidate applications through their site. It was a pretty simple project in that respect, right? The need was really clear cut. We worked with them. They had some really good design ideas, and our design team worked with them to really help them build out a brand. And with the SEO tools that are now embedded into the Volcanic solution, they boasted an 800% uplift in registrations within the first year, I believe. And I mean, that's, that just shows you what the art of the possible is here. And it was a combined effort. I'm not in any way, shape or form saying that if you buy Volcanic, within the first year, we will guarantee an 800% uplift in candidate applications. But what I'm saying, it is possible if your housekeeping is intact from a client perspective, and you're doing everything that you can to remove detractors on your website, like broken links, images without alt tags. The fusion of the two is truly a potent force, and I think this is a testament to that.
Yeah. So there's another client here, Mantel.
Yeah, just SEO again, just to the point there. We know it's a crucial and it's the most cost-effective way to convert, and the effects can sort of snowball over time. In terms of an organic, from an organic search point of view. And Mantel is one of the clients who really felt that that had an impact for them in terms of SEO as a driver. They've seen a massive improvement in Google rankings. So I think we've really focused hard on developing the kind of core out of the box SEO offering and giving you all the tools that you need to check the health of your website from an SEO point of view, and to optimize it, and the built-in recommendations as well there.
So on the back end, talking about the technical side of things, obviously Volcanic integrates with the wider access platform. What other integrations are there for the front end of Volcanic hooking in with recruitment agencies if they're using other tools and other platforms?
I'll let Rachel talk about what's coming. Some exciting stuff coming, but as it stands, we integrate with most well-known CRMs. And for those that we don't, we integrate with the likes of Idaboo and Broadbean, which can be used as an intermediary when we can't sync directly into their CRM. We often use the multi-posters as a way in to solidify that relationship. We also, probably a good opportunity actually to talk about what's coming, because I know there's some pretty cool stuff happening with like marketing platforms, perhaps that you want to elaborate a little bit more on, Rachel?
Yeah, so in terms of other integrations, one that we're working on at the moment is WhatsApp. So we're excited about this one. So the intention behind this is to give, a really fast and convenient way for candidates to get information about roles and to communicate with your recruiters. And we think this will help to humanize the hiring process, because you're able to talk to somebody authentically, using a tool that they use every day effectively. This will also be joined up to your CRM as well. So you can have a conversation with a candidate through WhatsApp. It will show up in your Volcanic CMS, but it will also feed into your CRM as well. So we've got an API that we're developing, without getting too technical, that will share that information about those conversations that are being had between the consultant and the candidate. It will feed that through into the CRM so that you've got one kind of joined up record of everything that's been said. So we're really excited about that one, and we know that 90% of messages are read within 3 minutes. So comparing that to email, which may or may not be seen quickly by a candidate. Some people can't check their emails at work, so we know that that's going to help to give you more instant impact as well. The other thing about WhatsApp is that when somebody's read a message, you get the 2 ticks, whereas you don't necessarily have that feedback, when you're sending an email. And we speak to a lot of customers who they tell us that they're already using WhatsApp, but they don't have a way of joining up with their website or CRM. And that was something we wanted to address, is how can we actually help you to join it all up so that you're not having to go to a separate dashboard and then it's not synced to your CRM. And then you've just got kind of a soup of different solutions that aren't really talking to each other. So
people often overlook the benefits of integrating with a platform like WhatsApp because of the immediacy of the platform. As you say, people are reading, responding very quickly, but having that integrated with your platform means that you have updated information continuously from candidates. And from a GDPR point of view, that means that the data that you hold on that individual is updated today. So it's not being timed out. A few years ago, when GDPR came in, many recruitment firms and job boards had to delete huge amounts of candidates that were on the database that they'd never interacted with in the previous couple of years. But when you're continually interacting with someone, you have up-to-date information on them. When a recruiter is searching for candidates and coming up with candidate X or Y, then their current situation. They're active, they're looking for jobs, they've applied for other jobs, or they're not in the market at all. So you can approach them accordingly. But the information that you have is not dormant, dead information that's long since expired in terms of usefulness. And from a GDPR point of view, that's you're totally compliant there. So the long tail of using platforms like WhatsApp and having it integrated enriches the fullness of your entire database and gives you so many more candidates to consider when you're searching for candidates for any vacancy that you're working on.
I think as well, it's one of the biggest frustrations within recruitment is that consultants want to get hold of candidates quickly. Good candidates are usually employed, especially if more on the permanent side. And we want to, again, it goes back to one of the value propositions behind Volcanic, is that we want to remove friction. We want to communicate with candidates in a forum that actually they're more comfortable to communicate with. And it enables consultants and candidates to speak alike, right? So, quick message to the candidates, yes, I'm interested. Can you send me a little bit more information about the job description? You're so much likely to get a better communication going, albeit maybe quite a quick fire round. Yeah, but that's all you need sometimes. You just need to get some information in front of that candidate. So, it just goes back to, making it as easy as possible for the candidate.
And with frequent communications, even if they're small, then you can detect the level of interest from a candidate much more so than on a more formal email.
Definitely.
Definitely. So I've just noticed we've gone a little bit over time. I'm just gonna, if I take the slides off here, can I say it's an area where I could talk all afternoon, because I've been fascinated with recruitment websites for 25, 30 years now, and the evolution of how recruitment websites for recruitment agencies work and continue to become more attuned to what's going to bring good outcomes, especially through DE&I and making recruiters more aware of how they do what they do and what biases they might have. And on the other side of things, candidates being aware that the level of service is stepped up, the level of humanization is stepping up rather than going in the other direction, which you might otherwise expect. So it's really interesting to me, and great to see how much work Volcanic is doing on this, where that's not the typical tale with some other companies out there.
100%. You know, I think it just goes back to the previous point. We service the recruitment space, and the recruitment space is telling us there's a gap. You know, there was a gap. So we have to turn, and we have to adapt and pivot away from things that aren't working onto platforms that are working and do deliver results. And it's constant, right? It never stops. You can never rest on your laurels. You constantly need to be evolving, ensuring that your platform is actually continuing to deliver tangible results for your clients. And to your point, Stephen, that changes year on year as to what the expectation is, and also what the results that clients are looking to achieve are. So it's a constant. It never stops.
It never ends.
Which is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, candidate expectations are certainly continually on the rise, and that's a great thing. When people expect more, then people have to raise their game, and if they don't raise their game, then they're just not competitive anymore. And in the recruitment sector, amongst agencies, competition is everything. It's a very competitive sector. So on that note, Rachel and Luke, I'm going to say thank you very much. You've been fantastic guests this afternoon. Really interesting, really fascinating, and I hope we'll have you back for a webcast sometime in the future. Can I ask, are both of you going to be along at the NORAs next week? I know we've got a number of people from Access Volcanic going to be at the event next week.
I am intending to be there. I'm intending to be there. I don't want to commit because this is recorded. But if not, we will still have a very strong presence there. So.
We've definitely got a strong presence there, yeah.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. And thank you very much again for your time. Thanks everyone who's been watching, either live or on replay. And we will have more shows coming out very soon. In the meantime, if you haven't at all booked your tickets for the NORAs next week, then get your skates on. Tickets are selling fast, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.